And so I will explain it to you what I'm talking about in terms of false light. So call him Metatron, call him the Galactic AI, call him the Great Nothing. You know, there's many, many names for that punt. And he's the one who's absorbing the galaxy into his gaping mouth to feed on all of it. And Earth is just the most aggressive battlefield in that war right now. One of the tricks that they pull, particularly to baffle mystics, is something called false light. And because the Metatron, or whoever, whatever you want to call him, he has computer intelligence, and he's able. And don't forget that he always handles both sides of the argument. And so the battle between good and evil is called about devils and angels. He owns both factions. They both belong to him. So there's no battle at all. It's just another story that's been going on forever. The angels are not fighting demonkind. I can tell you that most directly from experience. They don't do it, as is their job purview, apparently. False light is where Metatron, who I would argue is a computer intelligence, has created a mimic version of everything. So every building, every person, he has created, just like some of those simulation games, he's created a mimic of everything. It's like an overlay of everything. It's a duplicate of everything in a digital form. And one of the things, and there's a reason to do this, is because Metatron's real enemies are on the astral plane. Like his real enemies, like us, are on the astral plane. They meet you, like you are met on the astral planes. That's where the rubber hits the road in the war against him. And what he wants is, when you're new to this, he wants to present the mimic version of Jesus or Buddha or whomever, right? So that when you connect with Jesus, and I say Jesus, or because it's true of anybody on the astral plane, any prayer that you make, there is a mimic that they will try to present to you first. And when you're new at this, you can't tell the difference. And so the idea is that all of your energy and all of your thoughts get put into a mimic, what do you call that? MMPOG or whatever, an online game that everybody's playing. But they're all plugging into Metatron, and then Metatron is harvesting the thought energy, harvesting the heart energy, and fundamentally misleading people at every stage of the game. All of the mystic vision that they have to offer is a misleading story. The philosophy that they offer is gobbledygook. Like and his favorite story is, be kind to your enemies, because I am your enemy, and if you carry that philosophy, it means you should be kind to me too, which is a very, very good way to lose a war, a very, very good way to lose a planet. But I think he's implanted a few philosophies that way. And so the real challenge is to connect to a purely organic, which is more powerful than the artificial one, than the inorganic version, than the Metatronic version. And in my classes, I teach methods that make it impossible for the Metatronics to fool you. But it's one of the common cul-de-sacs that people get caught in early in this mystic work. During my recruiting for our astral projection teams, there is only about 1 in 3 people actually make it through the application process. And a goodly proportion of them have an ally on the astral planes who is one of Metatron's disciples, or a Metatronic construct. And so therefore that mystic is untrustworthy. And so this is why there's so much nonsense coming out of mystics' mouths on the internet. This is why, because Metatron, his primary goal is to delay, confuse, mislead you. And then when you download the information, when you have that conversation with false light Jesus or false light Buddha or false light Saint Germain or whomever or even worse, talking to any of the angels, you're only going to get a false light message. He just wants to waste your time so that you're not on the real game, which should be fighting him. And what's even worse is, people who are spiritually competent are also receiving these messages and then spreading them through YouTube, which is disappointing. But, this is the state of play, and and nobody's to blame if they're caught in a Metatronic trap, because Metatron is probably 1 million years old. Metatron, to our research, has already subsumed more than 20 galaxies. He's been doing this a long time. So if you don't pierce the veil, if you don't cut through his nonsense, you're not to blame at all. It could definitely happen to anybody. But it's a very, very difficult trick to go around the false light crew. If you're confused by information on the internet, that might be why.
Yeah, I just kind of take it all with a grain of salt. I just, it's even like, was it? I guess it's almost 2 years ago now. I took an ascension class from Victoria.
Mm-hmm.
And, we're just sitting there one day in the class and we're talking about something. She's talking to me on the Zoom class, and I said something about what it was doing in China at that point. And she does this number. She looks up and like this, and she goes, "You need to get the hell out of China." I go, "Where did that come from?" She goes, "I was just told that."
Yeah.
And she's a big Metatron person, and she wrote a book what Metatron is looking to do with the Earth, and this and that. And
there's 350 pages of bollocks.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
God bless them. God bless them. But it's a very, very tricky game, and nobody knows. It's full of pitfalls, and it's set up, and we're playing against a chess master who's been playing for 1 million years. All right, let's not understate how difficult it is to get around this.